So we have finished the structure of the skin in our last class. Okay, if you get confused, and we have learned about the component of the skin, that is skin proper, which is composed of epidermis and the dermis. Then we have learned about the derivatives of the skin, that is hair, nails, mammary gland, sweat glands, and the sebaceous glands. So today we will begin with the new topic, that is skin and heat regulation of the body. So all the mammals, including human beings, we are warm-blooded animals. We are able to maintain our constant body heat. Clear? Though the environmental conditions may be too hot or too cold, but we are able to maintain our constant body temperature. So we are warm-blooded animals. Body heat generated from inside. So it is also called endothermal. Endo means inside. Thermal means heat. So body heat will be generated from inside. So we are warm-blooded animals. We are able to maintain our constant body temperature, whatever may be the external environmental temperature. Okay. On the other hand, we have got the cold-blooded animals, or the ectothermal animals, whose body temperature keeps on fluctuating depending on the outer environmental conditions. They are not able to maintain their body temperature constantly with the environmental conditions, though they are called ectothermal or cold-blooded animals, but they have got the mechanisms to avoid the extreme environmental conditions. So they used to go for long winter sleep, which is called hibernation, or they used to go for long summer sleep, which is called estivation. Okay, so now the term the cold-blooded and the warm-blooded has been replaced by the term poikilothermal animal and the homeothermal animals. Clear? So the human body temperature is usually how much? 37 degrees Celsius, okay, in the mouth, and it is 1 degree Celsius higher in the rectum area and 1 degree Celsius lower in the armpits. But generally we say that the constant human body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. Okay, but our body temperatures also show some major variations of 0.3 degrees Celsius to 0.5 degrees Celsius in the course of 24 hours. It is said that it is lowest in the morning and usually highest in the late afternoon. And whenever there will be a rise in the body temperature, it indicates a sort of sickness like the fever. Okay, so when there will be continuous rise in the body temperature about 37 degrees Celsius, then it can be fatal or dangerous also. A suitable temperatures of 35 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius, which is called the optimum temperature, is essential for the normal functioning of the body. And this temperature is also essential for the functioning of different enzymes within our body, because we learned in digestive system that we have different types of enzymes which help in digestion of food materials. So those enzymes will work at a temperature which is called the optimum temperature within the range of 35 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius. When the temperature will keep on increasing at the higher temperature, these enzymes will usually become destroyed. They become non-functional. Clear? So the working of the enzymes is slowed down with the lowering of temperature, while higher temperature destroy the enzymes altogether and they will become non-functionals. Alright, so optimum temperature is essential for the functioning of enzymes in our body. Next one, heat productions. So there are many sources of heat productions in the body. First one, chemical reactions which occurs in the body, like in the liver, where there will be oxidation of glucose which produces heat, and most of the heat produced in our body comes from the activity of our muscles. Okay, vigorous activities of our muscles usually produce the heat, and mainly on the cold day we used to feel warm due to shivering also, where there will be contraction of muscles, and when there will be vigorous use of the muscles, activity of muscles during the hot humid conditions, we will feel overheat. Okay, so a small amount of heat also comes from the ingestion of hot food and beverages, that when we used to take a hot soup, then we used to feel warm. So it also like ingestion of those hot food and beverages also produces heat. And heat loss. So heat is mainly lost in the body from the following four channels. Skin. So 85% of the body heat is lost to the skin by convection, conduction, and by radiations, by the process of evaporation also. That means by the release of sweat from the sweat gland also, it will be lost. Lungs. It is lost in the warm air. Lost in the form of warm air we breathe out. So when we are breathing out, we are giving out the hot air, warm air. So it is also being lost when we are usually breathing, and this can generally experience mainly in cold climate conditions when we just used to blow the air in our hand, okay, like this, then we used to feel warm. Clear? So during breathing also we are giving out the warm air. from the urine and the feces also, substances will be eliminated at body temperatures. Food is also lost when cold food like water or cold beverage are taken into the body. So when we are taking the hot food and hot beverage, heat is being produced, but when we are taking the cold food or the cold beverages, heat is being lost from the body. Okay, so here we have the heat production and the heat loss. Now let us talk about the temperature regulations. The principal heat regulating center in our body is located in the brain, in the forebrain, that is the hypothalamus. Okay, that contains most part of our pituitary glands that mainly produce the hormone. So this part acts like a thermostat. It helps to maintain the body temperature. So when the body tends to cool below the normal temperature, it switches on or speeds up the heat producing processes. So carefully. So when the body tends to cool below the normal temperature, and it switches on or speeds up the heat producing processes, and when the body tends to get overheated, it accelerates the cooling processes and switches off the heat producing processes. That means when we are feeling cold, alright, at that time this hypothalamus will switch on or will speed up the heat producing processes. And when we are feeling very, very hot, and when we try to maintain the we will try to maintain the cold body temperature, this hypothalamus will again switch off the heat producing processes. It will slow the heat producing processes. So this hypothalamus is trying to maintain the body temperature. So when we are feeling hot, it will switch off the heat producing processes. Whatever the activity that will produce the heat, that will be brought down. And when we are feeling too cold, then this hypothalamus will increase the processes that will help in the production of heat. So like this way, it acts as a thermostat in our body, which will help to maintain the body temperature. So now we are going to look in cold weather and the hot weather, how we are able to regulate the body temperature. So in cold weather, when the outside temperature is low, at that time the blood vessels get narrow, which is called vasoconstriction. Look in the figure here, the blood vessels are being narrow. Okay, and this is called vasoconstriction. This generally occurs in the cold climatic conditions, and when the blood vessels undergo vasoconstrictions, this will reduce the flow of blood to the skin, and as a result there will be less loss of heat by the convection, by the conduction, and by the radiation, and also there will be less loss of heat by the process of sweating also. So the blood supply to the skin will be reduced when there will be vasoconstrictions. Clear? So generally, when there is vasoconstriction, first one, we are told that the heat loss from the skin will be lost. Number two, there will be no sweating. Clear? This will conserve the heat, and this is a natural method to conserve the body heat. Now when vasoconstriction occurs, when the blood vessels get narrow, the color of the skin will turn pale or bluish. Why? Because there will be a decrease of blood supply to the skin, and when there will be reduction in the supply of blood to the skin, the color of the skin will turn into pale or bluish. Okay, simultaneously the heat production is increased by the increased metabolic rate, because we have to move to the other sources of heat production. So when these particular processes are going on, that when the vasoconstrictions are going on in order to conserve the body heat, then at the other time we have to increase heat production, and the heat production is mainly being carried out by increase in the metabolic rate and through the increased muscular activity. That means when we are feeling too cold, we used to go shivering, and that shivering causes vigorous contraction of the muscles, which will generate heat. Okay, now in hot weather, there is just opposite of vasoconstriction. So when the outside temperature is very, very hot, then the person is increased in external physical work. At that time, what I mean is that the blood to the supply, that means the blood supply to the skin will be increased, and that is called vasodilation. Okay, during cold there is vasoconstriction, but at the hot humid conditions, the blood vessels undergoes vasodilations, so more amount of blood will reach to the skin, and by this way there will be greater loss of the heat by radiation, by conduction, or by convection, and there will be lesser there will be more loss of sweat from the sweat glands also. Okay, so this will result into the more loss of heat from the body. Clear? Now air movement over the body help speed up evaporation of sweat. So when the movement of the air will be more from the body surface also, there will be more evaporation of sweat from the body. That's why we said that the fans which do not cool the air of the room, we said that fans do not cool the air of the room, have a cooling effect on our body. But how does it give the cooling effect on the body? Because it will give the air that will move from our body surface, and it will take away the sweat from our skin. That's why we will feel cooler. Clear? We will feel cool. Now what they mean by the heat stroke or sunstroke? It's mainly a condition in which the sweat production, in which sweat production is unable to keep pace with the evaporation in very hot winds. So it said that heat stroke or the sunstroke occurs when the rate of sweat production is not able to maintain with that of the evaporation in very hot winds. So sweat production is generally less than that of the evaporations in very hot winds. Now this will result in the rise in the body temperatures. Okay, sweating is not able to take place at a rapid rate in a very hot wind. So in these conditions, the body temperature will keep on rising, and when the body temperature will keep on rising tremendously, it will be very, very fatal, even leading to death of the individuals. So drinking a lot of water during this time and taking a little more of salt in summer is a good precaution or a good protective measure to overcome heat stroke or sunstroke. So in heat stroke, sunstroke, the rate of sweat production is unable to keep the pace with that of the evaporation, so that we will feel overheated and our body temperature will keep on increasing. Clear? So here we have finished the chapter skin, the jack of all trades. So in the next class we'll begin with the last chapter, that is respiratory systems. Okay, so this was for today. See you in next class. Thank you.